Hello! Welcome to the next ReeVlog. This is not the best height for things, because if I'm stood up, you don't see me. If I'm sat down, you don't see me. What an idiot. Let me just... Does that work? Yeah, that works. Nice. So, welcome, as I said, to the next ReeVlog. It is the 17th of December 2025 today, which means 1 week until Christmas Eve. And 4 weeks until my birthday eve, and 20 weeks until hopefully I'll be grading, using the date that I set for myself once I got the syllabus through for Kung Fu. I am just noting that because I had my calendar notification come through saying, can you be ready in 20 weeks? And so I'm here to discuss that, as well as just do a general update, because it's been an unusual little while since the whole my cat passing away thingo, because that kind of was unexpected and stressful and caused some fatigue issues, as well as just general productivity problems outside of fatigue. So, but also I need to be getting ready. I should have work, but I booked it off to cover the class for Kung Fu because my instructor is away. But I've got to get ready to go to see the Famalam and sort of do some practice of some of the other Kung Fu stuff that I haven't practiced so much as recently, just to make sure that it's all in here correctly, because I'm instructing it. Because I know it, I just need to make sure it's not too rusty, effectively. But I just got out of the shower, so excuse me whilst I do, like, self-carry stuff. I'm going to moisturise my feet and whatnot, and I'm definitely keeping that off camera. However, will I be ready in 20 weeks? Yes, I'm very confident I will. The reason being, there are 13 points, like headings, for this grading. And I think that I'm already at a level where I could pass 9 of them. The other 4, I'm a long way away on at least 2, probably 3 of them. And then the 4th one, I think I'm not a long way away from passing, but it would be a close, like, call. I might not make it at all. Like, I might fail at the minute. And if I did fail, I could fail by like 10 marks, which I don't know how many marks that part of the grading's worth. The whole grading as a whole, 100 marks, but I have no idea how that's split up. I'm guessing with the hand strikes and the leg strikes, the new ones are probably worth 2 each, and then the old ones collectively might be worth like 5. But that is just a guess based on previous grades, and this grade's a little different because it has all hand strikes including new ones, and then it lists the new ones. So I'm guessing the new ones might be weighted slightly differently than the old ones, but I'm guessing I'll also be graded on the old ones, like marked. But yeah, so the one thing that I think I'm like, oh, I've got a hair in my mouth. Still there. There we go. Boom. Issues of a beard. The one part that I am, like, debatably close to being able to pass on, but wouldn't want to grade with yet. Like, I wouldn't want to grade with it, because if I get low marks on that, then that means I have to get higher marks elsewhere to balance it out. And I'm already going to have that issue, I think, with at least 2 of the 3 other things that I'm not at a point where I'm likely to pass on at the moment. So, yeah, and I'm confident I can get a lot better at it than I currently am, is one of the 2 forms on this belt. I have sword form, which is quite short and I'm quite confident with. Probably need to do a tiny bit more work just to, like, shore it up a bit better, but I'm confident I'd probably currently get between 80 and 100% on it. However many marks that is. Could be 5, could be 4, could be 10. So if it is 10, then I'm confident I get 8, 9, or 10 marks, or a half mark in between somewhere, like 8.5, 9.5, etc. No, they are the only options. And then I think that once I've shored it up a bit, I will be like 9, 9.5, 10, rather than 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10. Because currently, my like standard is probably like a 7. On grading, I like usually do perform a little bit better because not pressure necessarily, but it is a structured thing that I'm prepared for, and I can make sure to put in appropriate preparation in the lead up to it. Make sure that I prioritize sufficient sleep, blah 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 blah. So it's going to be a better than average performance, even though there is a little bit more pressure. However, I want to get to a point where that'll be like my average performance would be currently where my lower grading estimate would be. And again, I could be entirely wrong. My instructor might grade me on things that I like, factors that I haven't accounted for and whatnot. That's what I'm mock grading at some point next year. I'm hoping around March, maybe, will be. The reason I'm hoping around March is because my first week where I'm not working Wednesdays of the 4 is next week. And there isn't any Kung Fu next week. And I've got a sneaking suspicion there isn't any the week after. So I'm getting 2 weeks of Kung Fu in like January, then 4 off, then 4 more. And I think it's at the end of that set of 4 that I'll be able to have a mock grading. But scheduling it, I need to try and book that in a bit in advance, so to speak. And then, yeah, the other form, the one that I am less confident with, a lot longer, and it does not play to my strengths very well. It is lots of big, flowy movements. It's meant to like look graceful and be finesseful. Lots of balancing on one leg type stuff, etc. And yeah, it's not my strong suit. I'm very much a direct power person, more so than well, I say power, I'm not like super big on just power, but in comparison, than the more elegant and graceful side of things, though I am intending to improve on that. I struggle in that area, both in general and at improving in that area, so that's going to be tricky, but it is something I can practice. The other issue, however, with it is because of all the big, graceful, elegant movements, I can't practice it everywhere. I can't practice it here because this is a bedroom. Bedrooms are not big enough, especially with stuff in them. But even if this room was empty, I'm not sure I'd have enough room to do it without having to pause and move around at full size. So usually I'm practicing it like really small in comparison to how I need to do it on the day, which obviously isn't great, but it is practice, which I otherwise wouldn't get done. And then there's the fact that I can practice outside, but because of all the big flowing movements and balancing that and stuff, if it's wet and I'm on grass, I might slip. And I would really rather not accidentally put myself in the splits, because that is not something I'm capable of doing, and so I will injure myself. And I'm already like rehabbing a knee from injuries from years ago, now that I've mostly sorted out my toes. Ish. That's a point for another day. But yeah, so there's various issues with being able to practice that, which is why I'm still not super confident with it, but I'm getting there. It's just taking a lot longer than the other one did, because it's a longer form, has those issues making it difficult to practice, and my instructor has the same issue as me, where he was never super good at that form, so it's not one that he's had to teach anyone else before either, so his memory on it isn't as good, so when I ask him questions, it takes him a while to get back to me. Thankfully, I think I'm past the point of needing to ask him many questions. Now it'll just be, I need him to watch me do it once it's fresh in his brain, and then he can say, oh, this thing, you're doing this hand strike when it's meant to be this hand strike instead, so if you just move your hand to be this shape rather than that shape, that'll fix that. and you won't get marked down. That sort of thing. And then from there, that leaves the other three things, which is Drunken Man, 4-man attack, and can't remember the other one. It might be Locks and Breaks, which I'm improving on, but I don't think I'd pass on the moment. So yeah, Locks and Breaks. I'm relatively confident on Locks and Breaks, actually. So I think in terms of how I think I'd get marked at the moment, I think at the bottom of the list would go Drunken Man, just because I've only done it like twice-ish, and I'm not very good at it. It feels very unnatural to me, plus I'm still memorising all of the entrance technique stuff. I get the general vibe, I've just got to get good at it. And it's also something that's quite hard to practice on my own, because I need someone to watch me, and by someone I mean my instructor, to say, you're doing it right, you're not doing it right, blah, 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 blah. Because I think I'm doing it right, but it's one of those things that I can't tell whether I'm doing it right or not. And even if I record myself and look back at it, due to how my brain works, and because it's called Drunken Man, the part I struggle with is like that hyperbolic drunken appearance. I never know how far is far enough. And the only parts that I can really check myself for is making sure I'm not too obvious with my strikes. For example, this is a strike. But also, this is a strike. And it looks somewhat in between the two when you're doing Drunken Man, because you just sort of like swing your arm upwards. So you've got to make sure your elbow isn't like bent, because then it's too uppercutty, so to speak. It's a pain. Anyway, so that's at the bottom. Then it would be the 4-man attack. I've done it one time with people, and I hated it. But my instructor and I had a discussion about it. He's kind of simplified it in my brain a little bit compared to what I thought it was, which should help quite a bit, theoretically. But I've not done it with anyone since then, and I've only done it a little bit on my own. So I've got the idea in my brain, and that's set. I know the physical movements I need to do. I just need to make sure that I can do them well. And part of it is like threat assessment, so I need to be able to do it to any of the 4 positions, because 4-man attack, 4 people attacking, one's in front, one's behind, one's left, one's right. Threat assessment, I need to target the biggest threat out of the 4, which is where pretty simple in the fact that it's a Kung Fu class. I know the people in this class, so I know who is the biggest threat, just because I know the people and what they're capable of in terms of Kung Fu, right? However, the issue is, if they're behind me, what I have to do is very different from if they're at my left. If they're at my left is the easiest option. Everywhere else is slightly harder, but I don't get to pick where they stand. Also, the person who is the biggest threat might pause on purpose and go slowly, at which point I can't go for them because they'll be behind everyone else and I've got to go for someone else. That's where it gets complicated. But yeah, so they're the 2 at the bottom of the list. Then it'd be Locks and Breaks, just because off the top of my head I can't remember them all, which means I'm definitely not ready to grade on it, and I need to make sure those applications look good, because that is part of the grading, is the performative aspect of showing what you're meant to do, rather than just being able to do it. Which is kind of cringy, but it is what it is. If the instructor can't see clearly that you are doing it, and that you're doing it in a way that would probably work, or showing that you know you could do it in a way that would work, but you can't do in the grading because they wouldn't be able to see it. That is kind of important, you know? And then that leads us to the form as the 4th thing. Which, again, is like, I might pass, I might not pass. If I did pass... Now, it's not pass-fail on every individual item on the 13-point list. So I could theoretically get 0 on Drunken Man, for example. I wouldn't. I know myself well enough to know I'd at least get, like, if it's worth a mark, I'd at least get half a mark, which is like effort and knowing and showing that I know what I'm meant to do, even if I can't actually do it. But it'd be worth more than 1 mark because there's 8 techniques, maybe 9, I think 8. 8 techniques to go through as entrance techniques, and then the follow-on, so it's probably worth like 10 marks. So minimum I would get like 2, and that's if I did really bad. But for example, say I got 0 marks on that, but full marks on everything else, I'd still pass. It'd just be a case of, like, the next few weeks afterwards would be like, okay, we really need to focus on this one thing because you got 0. So from there, I'm pretty hopeful. I mean, 20 weeks is a long time, and I can practice a reasonable amount of it on my own. However, the Drunken Man and the 4-man attack cannot do on my own. The breaks I can do on my own to an extent, but then I need to work on the applications with other people. But thankfully, my brother has volunteered, accepted my request to assist me in that particular endeavour. And then the form, again, I just need to get lots of practice in. I can practice it on my own, but I need to be in the right locations where it is safe for me to do so at the full size. And that also means I need to work more on my cardio endurance, because it's quite draining, because there's a lot of sort of big movements up and down. They're the sorts of things that really get me. As well, there's a reason I don't do a lot of compound training at the minute, because of the fatigue. Regardless though, that's the Kung Fu section. I'm quite excited for taking the class tonight, but that's not really super relevant. Someone's grading soon. It's their first grading, so I'm going to run through probably everything on their syllabus, but focusing specifically on the stuff that my instructor told me to, obviously. But yeah, so there's that. Then my weird couple of weeks, and let me have a look. Yeah, I'm running pretty long time, so let me try to be quick about this. I'll see if I can do it in like 3-4 minutes. Obviously my cat passed away a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It was on a Saturday that she was put down, sadly. I found out that was going to happen on the Friday. I went to effectively say goodbye. It was very sad. Did the vlog where I announced that, and then yeah, I didn't really get anything done due to the sadness. And then I got some stuff done on the Saturday, but was still like recovering from the sadness and stress and whatnot, and yeah, not a lot. The Sunday I got a reasonable amount done. Like I saw friends and stuff on the Sunday, and then had to try and rush to catch up. And then that brought us to Monday last week, I think. Yeah, that brought us to Monday last week. Had board games night and a relatively productive day. Then don't really remember much about specific days and dates and such across that week, but met with someone on the Saturday and didn't get much done, because what I thought was going to be like a couple hours socializing turned into 8. So yeah, that was my whole day. But because of work, it wasn't super productive of a week in sense of my projects. So I was like very much fatigued, tired, get up, go to work, come back, go to sleep. Barely managed to do any writing. I remember very clearly one day I did 7 words, a couple days I don't think I did any. So, not yesterday, but the day before, so that'd be Monday, I set myself a task of 2,000 word minimum, and I did it. And yesterday I did 1,400 roughly, so I'm like trying to catch up, so I'm pretty happy with that. There are a lot of emails. Holy Lord, a lot of emails these past few days, because there's various issues that I'm trying to sort out, including like the seeming incompetence of whoever is doing and deciding roadworks in Norfolk. at least around Norwich. So yeah, it's a bit of a pain. So there's been lots of like dry reading and all that jazz. Not the funnest of times, I can assure you, but whatever. And then just catching up on housework, really. But that said, I've been very like creative brained. So I'm hoping that after Kung Fu, because I'm not going to have time before Kung Fu, I get more writing done in like a large quantity, like minimum of a few hundred words to a few thousand words. That's what I'm looking for as like my daily average, because it really did peter out. And it was like a slow thing where it was going down from like, I did 1,000, I did 2,000, down to, I did like 700, 800 to 300, 400 to double digits. And then there was a couple days of nothing and single digits over the course of the year, right? It did like peaks and troughs or whatever for a while, but then it just started to go down. I'm hoping, I'm peaking it again, so I'm hoping it'll go back to that better rhythm, so to speak, but means having to try and maintain something closer to a routine, and get back into doing my dailies first. Like, currently it's like get up, go to the loo. I might have to change it where it's get up, do my dailies, then go to the loo. And I can't go to the loo unless I do my dailies, you know what I'm saying? Because if anything disrupts me going to the loo, such as someone being in it, then it's like I'm waiting. That's what I'm doing. And then I'm like completely forget about my dailies and just like, okay, what can I do whilst I wait while I get my supplements and stuff ready and boil the kettle for a cup of tea in the morning, etc. Then I go to the loo and I come back, have my supplements and whatnot, and I've completely skipped the section of my day where I do my daily exercise, and it's only later on when I think, oh, I didn't do them, that I try and catch up, if I've got the time, if I've got the energy, etc. But yeah, it's been an intriguing couple of weeks, and I'm hoping that my current feeling of revitalised spark, as it were, for my hobbies / side projects will stick around. I'm going to try and keep it kindled. Yearly theme 2026 video will come out eventually, like a formal one. The board draft one is there. I still kind of want to put some more quotes on it before I do that video, but yeah, whatever. I think I did it in 5 minutes, just over. Close enough. Regardless, I really need to go and get dressed, take my supplements, do my dailies, and get going. So I'll catch you cats on the flip-flop.